So, all right, guys. Once again, I'm back with another Fisherman's Tale. This time, the spotlight's going to be on Scout Comics and James. Is it Haick or Haick?
It's Haick. Haick like
Haick.
cake. Best way
Haick
to
like
remember
cake.
it.
Very
Yeah.
nice. So he's a president at Scout Comics, and he started off as a writer. He's going to tell us a little bit about how he got started, and I'm gonna pick his brain. And I think he has some pretty cool stuff to share and talk about with us. So.
Oh yeah, man. Kind of got started. Gosh, it was 6 years ago now. I've been a comic fan, and I've been on a couple other CBSI shows, and I'm good buddies with Matt DeVoe and Nico. And again, I started off as a collector, man. I started been collecting comics since I was 8 years old, and I've never stopped. I just have a huge collection, and I've always wanted to get into comics, but I never thought there was a way to get into it.
Yeah.
And then about 6 years ago, I was like, man, I've read enough comics. I think I can write one, especially if I actually took it seriously. So I took a whole bunch of comic classes and read a ton of books. For those of you who are inspiring writers or artists out there, Comics Experience is a fantastic platform. It's run by Andy Schmidt, who's a former editor at Marvel. I think he's with Source Point now, just a heck of a nice guy, but there's all different levels of classes. And I took classes and I decided to give it a shot. And I kickstarted my first title, which is called Solar Flare. And I kickstarted the first few issues and then eventually got picked up by Scout. I had a couple of different offers from various indie companies out there, and was really intrigued by the multimedia presence that Scout had, which the CEO, Brendan Deneen, who's still with us and has become a very close friend. He has huge, deep ties to Hollywood. And I thought that was awesome because I always envisioned my book as a TV show. And gosh, fast forward 5 years later, I'm now the president of the company, a partner. The company has grown, I mean, exponentially every year. I sound like a broken record because I keep on saying exponentially. And every year we do grow. And today I got the year-end numbers for Scout from all our different revenue channels. And I'm just completely floored that we have grown what we did in a year like this year, where Diamond shuts down for essentially 5 months of regular continuity. And our direct to retail sales and our subscription box that we do, a monthly subscription box that we started in late July, has just blown up our website and our sales. And it's amazing, man. It's really fun. I'm kind of like living the dream. I've always wanted to be on this end. And every year I look back on the previous year and the growth is just personal growth too, not just the company growth. It's just been incredible, man. Well, and go ahead.
Well, when you talk about the direct retail, like I remember when the pandemic hit and Diamond hit, a few shops, were quarantined, but they started doing live shows. And it's weird how comics took off. But what I saw, all of a sudden they go, we have new comics. I'm like, where the hell are they getting these new comics? And all of a sudden I'm seeing Murder Hobo. And I'm seeing these covers. I'm like, what the hell is this Murder Hobo guy? And also because at the same time it's oh shoot, I can never say his name. Joseph Schmalke.
Schmalke. He's a good buddy of mine. Yeah.
He was a name that hadn't all of a sudden, but then this year between that book and then he did some variant covers, and all of a sudden you're like, what the hell? This guy's over covering everything. And then of course a book that blew up for you guys that we're going to talk about hopefully in a minute. But it blew my mind. I was like, how are they getting these new books? And so you guys opened up your website and said, guys, we will mail them to you. This is not a big deal.
I was handling it initially by myself, handling all the orders, packing. Again, being a collector, like I'm very, very adamant about how you pack comics, because we've all been there, man. Like where you get, like this comic you've been waiting for forever, and it's in this bubble mail or envelope, and that's all it's in, and it's just it's horror stories. Yeah, exactly. And I started myself. Now I have a team of 5 people down here. That's how much we grow. Just to give you an idea, in May it was me. Partly because of COVID. Actually, it wasn't even, I think we started in April. But our creators have grown too. You mentioned Joe Schmalke. He's one of my best friends, man. And to see his growth as an artist as well, when I met him 4 years ago to where he is now, like his Something is Killing the Children variants have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
His book, The Electric Black. Oh, just wait. A little tidbit to all you people out there, all the people out there. We have a big announcement on Electric Black, and it looks like it's coming in January. I was hoping to get it in by the end of the year, but Yeah, 2021 is going to be the year of the schmalky, I think. I always tease him about it because he did Phantom Star Killer too, which was a huge hit for us.
Oh, yeah. That one was ridiculous.
Oh, I mean,
it still is. It's still, I mean, I'm on the Facebook Phantom Star Killer group, and they have their exclusive variant they just sold today, and I was like, well, this book everybody's still doing variants for it.
And it's so good, man. It taps into your nostalgia with the cross between Darth Vader and Skeletor, and the story is phenomenal. I mean, it really is. I wasn't expecting much when I first heard the concept. I've been a toy collector for a while as well. Yeah. And
so when you say, were you a toy collector, because Phantom Star Killer is a toy made out by Killer Bootlegs or Peter Gorgel or whatever, and you're just going, it's a freaking non-option toy that he went and found, and he started making them, and there's a rabid fan base that I didn't even know existed before you guys did the comic.
It's amazing, man. And I think Peter's career has run parallel with Scout, where he did, DIY, do it yourself. And he has grown where, like an example, just talking to him, a little inside baseball information is he did a Count Draco Knuckle Duster, which is going to be the next
that looks awesome.
One shot. And it's awesome. But he had did a limited release for, San Diego Comic-Con this year, which was the virtual one. And Super 7 did it. And they also had, I believe, Nightmare Before Christmas and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle variants. Draco Knuckle Duster, I think they printed, from what Peter was telling me, the same amount for all their figures that they released. And Draco was the first to sell out.
Wow.
And when you look at that, it's like a non-licensed product, essentially, with no backing. It doesn't have a backing of a big budget movie or a TV show. So it's a no-brainer for us. And really, the tip of the hat goes to Schmalky on that one, because he is such an avid toy fan that he's like, I want to do this with you, Peter. And Peter's a hell of a nice guy. Actually, Peter's the head of our merchandise division now at Scout. We started our own toy company called Tracker Collectibles.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw it come through last month.
2 months ago, but have a big year planned. I'll kind of break the news here is we have, we're doing a Stabby Bunny plush.
Oh, nice.
That's coming out.
That should be a fun, the potential of that.
It's going to be unbelievable. We're doing a limited run of 1,000. It looks it's big, man. It's a large
a feature like with the knife or anything. Like that?
Everyone asked that. No, but we're thinking about doing an accessory pack, where you have like little Velcro, like knives and accessories you can throw in there. But it looks like Stabby Bunny from the comic book. So we're going to be releasing that soon. We put the order in, and then we're going to be doing a Kickstarter. My tentative date is March 31st, but I'm not going to reveal the figures. We're going to start kind of slowly putting them online, but it's going to be a Scout line.
Oh, nice.
And 5 other titles, and then there's going to be a special 6th one, and news will follow. But yeah, man, we have so many huge, ambitious plans for 2021. I have personally, and also, of course, Scout and the subsidiaries like Black Caravan, which is our imprint, Tracker Toys, like just all types of stuff planned, man. And by the way, it's all from the heart of all these people that work together at Scout. I mean, we're all collectors and diehard comic fans. And all we're doing is trying to create and bring to the world stuff that we would want to buy ourselves or read ourselves. So that's kind of, I think that's the secret to our success, is just a lot of like-minded individuals who are in the same mindset that if you win, I win, I win, you win.
Yeah. That's sort of, to be honest, like before the pandemic, I've heard of Scout books, but I didn't really jump into them. And then just by happenstance, you start hearing, I start following people on Instagram, and I love that, especially you have certain artists, they're really great about promoting themselves. And then to find those right artists and to find those right books, and you struck gold with 2 or 3 different books, and you're just like, okay, of course, like your book that you wrote, Solar Flare, what, 2 years, 5 years ago, it felt like it got
5, optioned. Man. Oh, it got optioned a year and a half ago. The option just actually expires at the end of this month.
That's always
no, but it's good because I have another deal kind of lined up right afterwards. So we'll see what happens there. It could get renewed, but they would have to again, I'm getting into the nitty gritty, but yeah.
No. Well, that's what, when I talked to Sebastian Jones, it was the same thing. He's like, I can't say certain things.
Yeah.
It takes a long time for something to happen, but I promise you, it actually is optioned, or it's actually it's at a stage. I just don't know what stage it's at. But
yeah, and of course with COVID and Hollywood shutting down, it's been really weird for them.
Yeah.
But what's interesting on that aspect of things, they are buying up things like you would not believe.
Yeah.
So it's just when they're going to get made. That's the key. So until we get this whole COVID thing situated, but I mean, there's about to be a streaming war, you know, and the only thing that makes you different is original content.
Mm-hmm.
So
and since there's no limits on
mine,
there's no limits on what you can do. Like as far as streaming, I don't have to worry about language. I don't have to worry about how violent. I don't have to worry about as long as my audience, as long as I make people aware, the success of Boys, the success of Old Guard, of Umbrella Academy. Like who would have thought that Umbrella Academy could have ever been made into a TV show? And then I mean, so anything you guys do can be done. Shoot, Rick and Morty. I mean, I know that it wasn't a comic, but I know that Stabity Bunny now could potentially end up being a show.
And we have it might have been under the radar, like press release or news to the comic world, but I can't stress to you how big of a deal it is with us signing with Mosaic, which is one of the biggest management companies in LA. Like again, you're used to it. You're part of CBSI. You understand that optioning, you know, what it does to help a book.
Yeah.
But the key is like optioning happens. What Mosaic kind of presented to us as Scout as a whole was like, listen, you know, we'll still do the optioning and act as your manager and try to get your best deal. But what we want to do is we want to produce these things with you where you're on set, you're determining casting.
Oh, wow.
We have this, it's pretty big, man. And Jimmy Miller, who's the lead partner in Mosaic, he's the brother of Dennis Miller. He's the manager of like some of the most famous.
The comedian /
it's his brother.
Night football guy.
Yep, exactly. Big diehard Pittsburgh fan, just anything Pittsburgh. But Jimmy, hell of a nice guy. Patrick Newman's also our contact there, kind of who's our lead manager. But Jimmy told us, I mean, and what he's done is, I mean, he manages Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey. He helped build his career. And they kind of envision us as like College Humor. So, you know, collegehumor.com.
They make some great little videos.
Yeah, it started off as a real small company. And then when Mosaic got behind it, it's like a multi-million-dollar company. And he's like, we envision you as basically the comic version of College Humor. We want to help take you to that next level.
Oh, wow.
And so far, we're about four months into the partnership. And the stuff that we've gotten done since then, it's unbelievable. And all of it's soon to be announced. That's the other thing that's frustrating, just being a fan too. Is a lot of this stuff like Hollywood is like, hurry up, slow down, you know, and it's some stuff takes a lot longer. I'm not even talking about getting made. I'm just talking about getting signed. It takes just longer than it should, in my opinion, just from my other careers. But it's been a hell of a ride, man. A hell of a ride that it doesn't look like it's stopping. Like this train is moving.
That is phenomenal. Like I'm sitting going, okay, which one should I be looking at? But I mean, at the same time, I just love reading some of your stuff. Like some what you guys are producing.
Wait until you see our slate in 2021. And that's what's so awesome. Everybody asks us like, what's Scout about? It's like just cool comics. Yeah. We have sci-fi, we have action adventure, we have all age brands that I don't personally think the direct market supports all ages. You know, it's dying off with us. Remember when we were kids, man, we'd get it at 7-Eleven and it was an absolute treat to go into a comic book store. But we had the newsstand. The newsstand does not exist anymore. And I don't think the comic store is doing what they, in my personal opinion, is doing to what the direct market. It does not support all age books. No, it just doesn't. The bookstore market does, you know, Scholastic and Book Fair. But the actual, you know, I'm talking real numbers, guys, like sales numbers. I've seen them, not just from us, from other companies. And we're going for it anyways. We're doing our Scoop brand. Again, I'm a big collector, like I said from the beginning. Our concept there is we're doing it in our nonstop in print format, which is you come out with the first issue and we're doing it at a low cost, at $1.99. We're catering towards parents.
That starts in January. I saw that
starts in January.
6 books and 3 of them are $1.99. The Scoot ones.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
all our first books are going to be $1.99 for Scoot.
yeah.
And it's going to be on normal paper, everything. It's not the newsstand stuff. It's straight up $1.99, and then we're going straight to trade, and we're doing the dog man size.
Okay, that's good. Like
for kids,
because I work. My real career is with education, and I go into middle schools, and I see students in elementary schools, and they are thirsty for books to read. And I mean, I wish they'd read novels, but a lot of times to get them to read, they read graphic novels.
Yep.
And they open those things up. And I think that's a good market. The hard piece for you is to get into Scholastic magazine or get into
the guidelines in there is just, you should see like the stuff. If like there's any hint of violence, if there's a gun, if there's, I mean, the restrictions on getting into Scholastic is just kind of uncanny.
Yeah.
But I see, like you said, we're going to, the person who's going to be running point is our associate publisher and a good friend of mine, creator of Stabity Bunny and Shadowplay, Richard Rivera.
Mm-hmm. He's
our publisher of Scoot. And the things that we have planned where we're going to schools, our creators are doing like Zoom meetings with kids, trying to not only build new readers, but maybe the next generation wave of creators.
Yeah.
So like one of the books that we're all very, very proud of is a book coming out in January called Soulstream. And Soulstream is done by a 16-year-old girl.
Okay.
She did everything. She wrote it, drew it, lettered, everything. Of course, I have
seen you post, or I've seen some of those pop through.
She started when she was 13.
Oh, wow.
So she's been working on this for years, and her mother and, of course, our team have helped edit a lot of the stuff. It's phenomenal. We're doing an exclusive cover that was done by her best friend who's 17.
I saw that post.
Painted.
It's good.
Isn't it amazing? Like it's a painted. It's like I can see this one. It's in the vein of like an art gem or a Shannon Mayer type of like realistic style photo. It's pretty incredible. So I mean, it's stories like that we need feel good stories in the industry right now, and I think Scoot's one of them. And we're catering to parents, but like I said, still collectors. So if I'm hoping not an if, but when these books become something else, meaning either an animated show or a TV, whatever, that there's still going to be value, those $1.99 or those variants, because we're catering to the collector with a single issue. But it's only the issue one and then straight to trade. And I feel that helps the comic store because it's evergreen product. You have the beginning of the story, and then you have the entire story or the entire story.
You don't have to. Well, and that's one thing I do. When I was as I've started doing this podcast and I've started talking to different people at different places, one of the things I've noticed is when you bring up smaller publishers, they mention you guys and they say some stores like it, some stores didn't like it, the nonstop. Because some stores, they're readers and they want to read every issue as they come out, and they don't.
That's me.
I mean, but I have one right here. This is one of your nonstops, Forever Maps or whatever. So it's like, this is issue one. It's not the trade or whatever. But like at the same time, hey, as a store, I can buy 4 copies of the trade. I don't know if I'd ever have, if someone likes more, I can always order more trades. It's always that catch. Like sometimes it's hard to always order more of issue 2 and issue 3 and issue 4. And for you guys, how can you tell a writer or an artist and go, we're hoping we get 4 issues. We don't know yet, but we want to get to a trade. Like, I mean, I'm thinking of all.
Well, let's look at our where we buy comics, man. It's direct market. Let's take a look at that. And this is why I suggested doing this. And so an issue 1 comes out right now, right? Yeah. Comic stores are ordering or advance ordering either issue 3 or 4. Yeah. And let's be honest, a lot of up and coming whether you're up and coming or just starting out, indie comics are not the named writers and not the named artists. Yeah. So it is and all the comic store has to gauge their order numbers is this little cover image and a paragraph about what it's about. So it is a really tough sell for them. And so that's why it's industry standard. Doesn't matter if you're Marvel, DC, Scout, Source Point, doesn't matter. Drop 50% drop from issue 1 to 2. Yeah. Like if that, and then you're okay. And then from 2 to 3, it's probably about anywhere from 10 to 15%. And then you hope it stabilizes there and it starts increasing. So we're trying to do, and again, I know I sound like a broken record if you've ever listened to interviews with me before, but we're turning lemons into lemonade, man. We're making best use of it. It's evergreen. People always want, like for years, I traveled the circuit, the convention circuit, and did solar flare. And I took inventory because it's just my background. Like I wanted to see what sales trends were, what I sold, tax purposes. And one thing I noticed over years is that I would sell a ton of issue number ones and then sets.
Yeah.
The only time I would sell individual and then eventually trades for solar flare.
Yeah.
And the only time I'd sell the other individual issues is if I went back to an area and those issues weren't out yet.
Yeah.
But it was always sets, trades, or the first issues. So it's a really tough sell, man. I use this story a lot. It was one of my favorite Scout series. It was released in 2017. It was Mindbender, or was it 2016? Time flies. But issue number 3, I went to my local comic store, and it was a 5-issue series, 6-issue series. And at that time, issue 5 was out, and on the shelf, there was only issue 3.
Yeah.
And personally, out of all 5 or all 6 issues, that was my favorite one. I just think the writing was top notch. The art was amazing. Unfortunately, it's episodic, man. It's not standalone. So that is a tough sell for that comic store, putting the comic store shop hat on. And it's like, how do I sell that? Either someone's got to really, really love the art, or it becomes a collector's item. Mindbender gets options for a TV show or a movie, and then it becomes a uber collector's item. So that's what Nonstop does, man. I think it caters to both the collector and the reader. And yeah, until we figure out a better distribution system, quite honestly, I think a lot of companies are going towards that, or straight graphic novel.
Yeah.
You know, forget the collectability of the single issue, you know, and that's one thing I've noticed, you know, correct me if you've seen the same thing or haven't, that when a graphic novel that gets optioned, there's really no collectability in that graphic novel.
It's you hope it, like as a speculator, I hope it is. But like, I mean, I've gone to try to grab, Spike Lee's doing one. There's some pigeon book or whatever that's only a graphic novel, and no one cares. It sells it was a $20 book. You can still buy it for $20, or you can. I mean, because very few people know how to check for first prints when it comes to books and all those different things. I do like what some people are doing, and you guys are really good about. I mean, you guys have done all these things with collectors in mind. The only thing I would say is put the little print runs, or how many are actually available, because like you do the ash cans.
That's the one. I'll tell everybody right now, ash cans. Yeah, we print 1,500. Okay. That's it. And what we do is we give out 500 of them. We give those to the creators to use a promotional period. Okay. You know, could it be lower? Yeah, it could. But that is something that I kind of want to do. It's on my 2021. Yeah. I don't think, like, everyone goes to Comic-Con, right?
Comic-Con, yeah.
They're wrong. I mean, it's close, but it's wrong. Yeah. You know,
well, they base it off of sales, but they don't talk to you. They talk to Diamond. And so
the diamond numbers are wrong too. Like I know that by looking at it, and I'm pretty sure it's Diamond minus Becton, which is Europe.
Okay.
So I'm guessing they leave that off. They're always come in lower than what they actually are. But then here's the other question is that, yeah, those are the Diamond numbers, but you don't know what the publisher, I'm talking any publisher, you don't know what they, you know, the overages that they publish or print. Oh, yeah. So
it used to be, you hit up the LC. I mean, since you're a collector, you LCS. If the guy's in with the Diamond guys and they go to the Diamond sale, they go, and all of a sudden these books that they were out of, there's 500 copies sitting there at Diamond that they didn't. No one sent back orders in. So all these 1 for 50 variants, some guy walks out with 500 of them. And you're like, oh, what happened? I mean, it's great for if you happen to be the guy to find them, but it's as a guy thinking you have a rare book and then finding out it's not. It's always tough. But
yeah, you know, that's one thing I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is one thing that I've been wanting to do, is to actually openly state our print run. Yeah. Just so there's nothing, so people know.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if you started doing, especially just all of you all that are the smaller publishers, and if you guys started doing that, you would create this collectability even more so, because it's hard to know what is truly rare, what is like, Hinch Girl, I mean, is probably the first big book from. And when I think of Scout, and I think of Hinch Girl, and you guys are. She's just about. Is it about to come out, or is it getting closer?
It's from what I understand. The update that I got was April.
Yeah.
So that's just when it starts filming. Is April. But they got a showrunner. It's pretty exciting.
That's a good example, though. That was 3 years ago when it got optioned or whatever, and then
actually, no, man. Actually,
was longer than
that. It's been optioned 3 times by 3 different companies.
Wow. So okay, so I'm just probably past 3 years is when I've been more into the spec side of collecting.
Well, I mean, it just to give you again, I like to because I would have wanted to know these things prior to me being part of Scout, and that just shows you some producers will not allow you to stuff, and it's frustrating because it helps. It helps the creators, man. Yeah, helps them bring money. It gets buzz behind the book. A lot of this stuff, I think, is going 10, 11, 12. Yeah, man. And that just helps the creator create more because I'll tell you what, creating a comic book is a labor of love that does not typically pay off immediately. It's the long game. It's absolutely the long game. And I really honestly think we're all in this. It doesn't matter whether we're a letterer, editor, artist, writer, because we love it.
Yeah. And
little things like that help. But yeah, Hench Girl, that one came from an option that was just a little over a year old. It just shows you if it gets with the right person, how fast it can be beelined.
Okay. That makes because I know I felt like it was several years ago. I was like, I'm gonna find this book, and then by then it was already gone. The same and I guess I talked to Sebastian Jones, and he was like, yeah, no, it was option when it first came out, and then it's been in this, and then HBO got a hold of it, and all of a sudden the books are gone. I mean, the same thing. Yours is Solar Flares, and you say it's almost written out. I know people that have been sitting on a little stack of Solar Flare books, just waiting for that next news announcement or whatever. But at the same time, you can find them. They'll show up in a bargain bin. It's one of those weird, comics amaze me how the system works and everything. And we talked about Nonstop. The other thing that you guys came out with, I think it just started in November, was this first issue. Then wait 2 months for issue 2, 3, or however long it's going to go. And I talked to Adam about this when I talked to him about Shit Show. At first, I was like, I don't know about that. But after talking to you now, but the more I thought about it, I'm just like, it took me a while to pick up my first copy of, I don't even know, I got a stack of I had to go through my Scout books and which ones I had. Of course, I just picked up Samus Talking Gun.
So good, man.
I got the variant for Shit Show, but also
beautiful, right? Oh, so nice.
Yeah, I actually really, really like that book. I wasn't even just being nice to him. I was like, I like this, and I like where this book could go.
What's so funny about that book was it was September of 19 with one of our partners. We were doing this. It was a dream come true. We had 19 meetings in Hollywood, different studios, and just. I was pitching, myself and my buddy or the partner Tennessee, we were pitching Scout stuff. And that's when we got Shit Show in the submission.
Yeah.
And I just remember it was so funny because in our pitch, the thing that I would rehearse over and over again, or it felt like it, but it was we don't do superheroes, man. We're more of a realistic based stuff. And I was like, or zombies. We don't do zombie stuff. All that stuff, that genre has been done.
Wait, but you're doing a lot of zombie books here lately.
Dude, that's what's so funny. We're doing one, actually. So at the same time, we signed. Oh, yeah. So we already did Snow White. That was completely different. So very rare. So, yeah, we do 2. So this one was, it's coming out actually, it's being ordered right now. So if you guys don't know about it, it's called Rabid World. And I thought it was a very interesting take that hasn't been taken on that zombie genre. And the concept is it's not us that were affected by the zombie genes. It was rabies. It was a form of rabies that turned all the animals rabid at once. So the world gets ravished by rabid animals called Rabid World. And I was like, damn, that's good. And the art looks like Tony Moore, the original artist for Walking Dead.
Okay.
It's just phenomenal. So that we signed that. And then, of course, Shit Show.
Yeah.
And it's just what an interesting take. For those of you who don't know, Shit Show is essentially this Justice League, right? It has this huge battle. Imagine them battling Starro. Was that the first villain they battled? And they lost.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Starro leaves Earth and he sucks up all the superhero powers from superheroes and villains. Only a select few still have those powers. And then the Superman basically is like, all right, we need to train. We need to prepare for when this thing guy comes back. But, you know, he lost a lot of friends and a lot, you know, the loss of a battle. So what ends up happening, he becomes an alcoholic, and their training basically becomes a circus, like a carnival. And then years later, that evil returns and they are not ready. He's an alcoholic. I mean, it's a shit show.
Yeah.
It's very well done. The art's amazing. Adam's a hell of a writer. I think it's going to be a big hit, and it screams multimedia. I mean, especially with the success of Boys.
From talking to him, like, and guys, check out my interview if you want to hear more. Of course, James, he just revealed more to the story than you can read. So I was like, oh yes, okay, now I really want to read it. I've read it once and I'm gonna read it again. But of course, the nice thing about what you're doing though, this 2-month wait, is you can build up energy behind a book before FOC, because FOC is what, 3 weeks before.
So yeah, let me go in a little detail on that. We've been trying to become an FOC publisher for the past year and a half, and without going into the dirt too much, but we're just waiting, trying, emailing, you know, it just hasn't happened. So again, why I kind of created Nonstop, we decided to do this with our regular series. Because again, I'm a traditionalist. I love buying monthly comics. I think we're a dying breed, quite honestly. Yeah. I think a lot of the new people are buying the graphic novels. But like I said before, with issue 3 being solicited, the time that issue 1, what we're doing here is we're just turning lemons into lemonade. So typically issue 1, our goal, we're going to try it for a year. And we actually got our first numbers in today, and it seems like it's been successful. Okay. It's worked with 3 of our titles, because we got issue 2 numbers in today.
So people order Recount, and what's the other one?
And Recount, Frank at Home on the Farm, and Children of the Grave.
Okay.
And we've experienced significantly less of a drop off than we did normally. Good. And that because all 3 of those books were a hit, the Recount being the biggest.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. We're just playing this broken system, man, where when you actually go in and issue 1 comes out, you know, you have time. We do a little bit of an overprint from our initial order. So we constantly want to get that issue 1. Yeah. And by the way, when it sells out, because we've had constant sellouts, we're going fast track into second printing. So for Recount, for example, second printing is being solicited right now. That'll be out before issue 2 hits in February. So those are people who missed out and don't have to spend a fortune on the secondary market. They can buy that second print issue even before issue
just came out with or is about to come out with the second print
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And by the way, just a little heads up, already sold out. We have very few at the store. Like, we're going third printing.
It wasn't even listed at the store. I tried looking at it. I was like, there isn't even one listed. I'm like, how do you even know? I mean,
our direct to retail orders were so large, we really don't. I don't think we have any left to even put on the store.
And did that even make Diamond? Midtown doesn't even have it listed. Like, several stores didn't even have it listed, because which is it. But then, like, I know my LCS gets every indie book there is, so I know they're going to have it because they love Scout. Like, that's where I found all my stuff.
That's awesome. Tell them to reach out if they ever need anything, man.
Well, I do love the was it your new thing that you got, the vending machines? It's fun. You gotta have the right store. My LCS wouldn't work because there's no space in the store. But
that's the huge that's the only negative we've gotten from those vending machines. It's like, man, I want one, but we literally don't have any space.
Yeah.
And we were gonna launch this program in February, but then the world stopped. So we're still gonna do it. That's brainchild is from one of our partners, and he's the creator of The Source and Unicorn, and co-creator of The Mall with me is Don Hanfield. His background, just give you a brief little cool story on it, is he did the movie The Founder. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a hell of a flick. It's got Michael Keaton's in it. It's about the history of McDonald's.
Oh, McDonald's, yes. I have seen that.
So during that filming of that, there was a company, they needed replica signs of the old 60s McDonald's, like cardboard cutouts. So they found this company out in California to do it, and they had a budget, so they put some money down. And since that movie was filmed, that company is blown up, and I guess it's the the company that does the exclusive deals with Disney, all the display stands for Disney.
Wow.
So he worked with them. He became friends with one of the guys there, and he designed that vending machine. It's the coolest thing, man. Like it's awesome.
I shared that picture of the CBSI guys, and because I was talking about the Scout vending machines, because we were trying to figure out how to find the retailer secret variants that you guys put out, and I was like, I'm pretty sure any of the stores that have the vending machines probably get one, and they're like, no, collectors don't do that. No, that because they thought there was glass and it was like a metal. I was like, no, it's a freaking cardboard cutout like image, but it looks like a vending machine. That's how badass those things are, because my CBSI guys thought initially those were real.
That's so awesome. We tricked so many. There was a photo I posted where they have like this little built-in, like, tapping machine, like you would tap like C8 and it'd come out. And it has like a little light that blinks, like a little LED light. So I did a picture. I took my phone and I put it up like it was like, doing Apple Pay. And people thought it was real. They're like, man, you're savage. Those things are going to bend the comics when they drop. I'm like, nope, just grab it.
Yeah, I love those type of stands, because I remember that's when I bought my first issue of Monstrous on one of those things, because they just sit in a store for a while because they're only going to be Scout books or they're only going to be Image books. And you know what? I didn't buy Monstrous when it first came out. I'm glad I bought it, but it was a month later. I mean, that's the same thing you're talking about here. Like having Shit Show on the counter, now Phantom Starkiller didn't last a week, but having some of these things stay on the shelf longer and not get put in a back issue bin because they're sitting in your cardboard bin. I mean, I'm more likely to pull it off because the cover art is what sells me in a book 9 times out of 10. I'm not going to flip through a back issue bin and find it unless someone told me to go find it.
Yep.
So I think that's genius. I mean,
one of the things that I went to a Comics Pro. I go to Comics Pro every year. It's that big industry meeting. It's very valuable for everybody. If you're a retailer out there, I highly, highly recommend it. It's such a good, such a good program / organization. And one of the things that it wasn't last year, it was like 2 years ago, maybe. I don't know. Again, time melds.
Yeah.
The theme of one of the years was returnability. And my background, sales and marketing. And I think returnability is a failed proposition. It's a failure to the retailer. It's the failure to the consumer. It's a failure to the creator. That means you didn't sell it. Yeah. Whether it was the product, whether it was the salesmanship of it, it just didn't sell. Yeah. And everybody wanted returnability, where the direct market was created to combat returnability from the bookstore market, which is the irony of the whole situation. So my view is like, I don't like blanket returnability. I just think it's not fair. It's not fair to me, James Haick, the creator, or me, James Haick, a co-owner of Scout, because I don't control how you display. You can take our books and throw it, like you said, in a back issue bin that it blends with everything. Like, that's not your best foot forward. That's where I think the vending machine is beautiful and key. That's our best foot forward. One of the things that we're adding to the vending machine is these little cards that kind of don't take up a lot of room, that just slot right in, that tells you, hey, you showed Sam and his talking gun earlier. Yeah. It says, if you like John Wick and Happy, you'll like this. It's sci-fi, or it's action adventure. And then it gives you like 3 sentences of what it's about.
I love, I remember going in the record shops and like, if you like Rage Against the Machine, then you might like these guys. And like, I used to literally just stare at that poster and find the bands I liked and then follow it down to the new bands coming out. Yeah. And like, that's how I did. I mean, of course, now with Spotify and digitally, it's done differently, but like, that's how, if you like this, you get Netflix does it to us all the time. But comics, it doesn't happen quite as I do appreciate my LCS that does buy your books and does display them regularly. They've started a new way of displaying their books. They've sectioned it and genreified it. So you have superheroes, but it's not Marvel. It's Marvel, DC. If Scout had a book or if Source Point has a book, they're all intermixed together. Then you go to the sci-fi fantasy section and everyone's mixed together. And Marvel and DC are in, if there's a book they think is that way, is in there too. And then you have your crime section and they're all in, because it used to be indie, Marvel, DC. Yep.
And that's it. It wasn't defined enough. I agree with you. I mean, the power that the comic shop owner has with recommendations, a lot of the comic shops, like, how do we keep business? Give recommendations. My sister owns a comic shop in Seattle, Washington called Outsider Comics and Geek Boutique.
Yeah.
And my sister comes from a background in retail in Fort Myers, where we grew up and where I live. Have you ever heard of Chico's? It's like
No.
older women fashion. It's a huge company now. Like they're everywhere. They're worldwide. But they started here on a little island called Captiva. My sister was one of the first employees there, and all through college and high school, she worked there, and she learned a lot about inventory. So she showed me the inventory list probably about a year into her store, and her number one seller was a trade paperback. She sold like a ridiculous amount of copies, like 153 that quarter, 153 copies, I believe, of Odyssey by Matt Fraction, you know, the retelling of Homer's Odyssey by Image. I read that book. I'm a big fan of Matt Fraction. I was not a big fan of that book. I gave it 3 issues. I'm like,
yeah, it's a
I don't like this. And I stopped. It really is. Like, it just, you know, it wasn't my thing. And that was the number one seller at their store. By the way, they live in Seattle, Washington, where like Amazon gives same day delivery and significantly lower on trade paperbacks. But they sold 153 because her and my brother-in-law love that book. And they relayed that to their customers, and their customers trusted them and purchased it. So I use that as an example of like, that's the power of the comic store. And what we're trying to do, honestly, with that vending machine going full circle in the conversation, is that even with that card, like, you know, times get slow in retail. Like a lot of the employees can actually read and see like, oh, I didn't know Sam was about that. Like now that I told you that it's like a cross between John Wick and Happy, that's a much easier sell. Like if you're like, oh, that's a cool cover, what's that about? You could be like, you like John Wick and Happy? This is right up your alley. And they'll be like, that sounds awesome. And then a little tagline. I mean, that's how we sell it in Hollywood. So why not sell it where we love it, which is comic stores? So yeah, we're trying to, one thing that I can tell you for certain about Scout, man, is we think outside the box and trying to develop new things and new avenues to just make cool stuff. You know, like we're announcing we did Scout Prestige. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's our magazine style. We're taking a lot of our most popular titles and collecting the first 2 issues and coming it out in a limited edition magazine. We're printing like roughly a 500 of each. Yeah. We did it for Electric Black. We did it for Solar Flare. We're doing it for Stabby Bunny, White Ash, and Long Lost. But it's like the magazine style a la Black Label. So, and then another one that we're starting next year we're calling it the Scout Legendary Edition, which are 11 by 17 full issue comics that are like art editions. So we're doing them with the select first issues. I don't want to reveal the first one that's coming out because I think they want to announce it, but we've talked about it already on this podcast. And it's going to be a huge hit because I just think it's really cool. Again, it's something that us being collectors and fans of comics, the the genre, we would buy ourselves. We're like, I would totally buy that. And that's what we're trying to do, man, at Scout. And again, I love this industry. I'm so excited to be, I never dreamed that I would be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, just looking back to a year ago, it's just insane. The amount of growth and cool factors that's happened since then.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. And we talked about it earlier. I mean, it's amazing how something so bad of this pandemic and COVID. I mean, because you guys, when you're on the con circuit, man, you guys were packing up your cars, loading your cars, going back and forth and wearing yourself out, going to all these places in hopes of getting your books in people's hands. What I've noticed is you've done this and lots of people have started doing this. You're now doing podcasts. You're now putting yourself out there to me. Well, guess what? I can reach 400 people, or I can reach 1,000 people. And then they go, you know what? Checking out Shit Show's worth it. Checking out Sam is Talking Gun. I want to go read Solar Flare now. I want to go. I mean, because as to where if I sat at a table, I'm going to talk to you briefly, but I might go talk to this guy and that guy. And but I can watch the podcast anytime now. And I think
it's great, man.
I think you guys have even on your Facebook page, there's a Scout podcast.
Yeah, we have 2 of them now. We have a fan podcast. I was doing a podcast prior to the pandemic. I just been so busy, man. Yeah. Like I have 2 full-time jobs, Scout, which is absolutely a full-time job now. Yeah. And I'm a financial advisor. I'm a stockbroker, and I run my own practice. And not to bore the listeners out there, but the company that I do business with, that I clear through, merged with another company this year. And what it did is essentially I had to go to every single customer or client that I had and fill out a new paperwork, all new paperwork. So it was 12 years, because last time I did it was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
When I switched companies, but 12 years worth of accounts in 2 months I had to open, just to kind of put on top of like Scout blowing up, you know, direct to retail, subscription box. So it has been a very taxing year, to say the least, in a good way. Yeah. But I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, the fact that the podcast, I stopped that. That was one of the things that had to go. But yeah, we have one called Trailblazers that just started, where it's Wayne, who's one of our editors. He's the editorial director for Scoot. He's been doing podcasting for, gosh, almost a decade. And every Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, he does an interview with a Scout creator, just talking about their books. And they're quick 30-minute episodes. And we also have 2 Scout Geeks, which are 2 just Uber Scout fans that have, you know, creators on, and they just talk about, you know, new and old Scout books.
That's really cool.
So a lot of really, I mean, when you have fan podcasts, I know you're doing something right, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've run into you guys, and I love the fact that you have those boxes, because you can hit the fans right where they want them, and they get delivered right to their doors, and then you can choose your level of, I want all the retailer incentives, or I want the I don't know if that's like, it's more specific of what they can ask for.
Oh yeah.
While getting every new issue that comes out for a month. I mean, I'm sitting going, man, do I want to subscribe to one of those? Because I like picking and choosing. I like going to the LCS, but if I lived in a place that didn't have an LCS that carried Scout books, I can now get it instead of waiting on Midtown or TFA or one of those other places to get the books from you and then send them to me. I just get them direct.
And we throw in, I'll do videos all the time. If you guys haven't already, we have a Facebook group called Scout Official Headquarters. And I post it on regular Scout Facebook page too, so give it a like. But you know, when we're packing it up, man, I'll be like, hey, check out, I got 3 VHS variants, and I'm just gonna randomly put them in, and then we do that all the time, man. It's fun. Like, again, it's turning collecting fun, and we have people who open boxes. I mean, some of our creators, like Chris Hamer, for example, who does Adventures of Byron, he's just such a talented artist. He did little mini sketches, 10 mini sketches of Byron. That 10, you know, I think that was the very first month we launched it. And then Brian Silverbacks did a sketch cover of Loggerhead. Yeah, and a whole bunch of other Scout characters, little sketch cards that were randomly put in. So we always try to do something very cool, and just with that box. And I think it's the best value in comics. Just, I know I'm biased, but it is. We do web store exclusives in there. You get a lot of bang for your buck, man, and it guarantees that you get, like, so many people wouldn't have read a book because they just wouldn't have bought it, or they wouldn't have known about it. But buying that subscription box, like, I think one of the biggest successes from the subscription box is this book that we do called Yasmin.